Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Being Spiritual with me, your host, Ashley Robinson, a spiritualist medium from South London. And thank you to our wonderful production team. I was trying to think of the solo for production, Richard James and Spiritual Psychics TV. So a warm welcome to you on Friday nights and a warm welcome to Being Spiritual via Spiritual Psychics TV. And we are live this evening on YouTube, so it's wonderful to have you with us. In order to participate with the show, which we do encourage you to do, it's really important that you log into your YouTube account. Now, if you've not done that before, it's relatively simple. You can either log in with your Google credentials, or you can create a very, very simple username and password, and then you can start to customize your YouTube experience. And by doing that, you'll have a profile. You'll be able to join the live chat. Now, Richard will be monitoring the live chat this evening in the studio. Occasionally, he'll bring up those questions, but certainly as we get towards the end of the show, it'd be really great to then have your questions. And I'd like to give a extra warm welcome to my mother. She's not just watching from home tonight, she's actually at home joining us on the show. So good evening, Mum. Welcome to the show this evening.
It's lovely to be back on again. Thank you.
It's lovely to have you here. And I've always spoke about the fact that my spiritualism, the reason for if you like my journey, starts with the foundations that you and Dad set. So it's very lovely to have you here. And talking about foundations, Mary Dixie says hi there. Mary Dixie was one of my circle leaders. Wendy Payne says good evening. So I'll do a couple of hellos. So let us know via the live chat where you're watching this stream from this evening, and if you are a first-time viewer, then let us know that too. We have moved over to YouTube at the moment for all of our broadcasting with Spiritual Psychics TV. We hope that you're enjoying that experience. So Katie Coleman, good evening to you. She says hello, and as I said, Mary Dixie there, my circle leader, lovely to have her joining us. Christine says good evening, Ashley, Richard, and everyone from a rainy Bournemouth today. Hasn't the weather taken a strange turn? And my good friend and colleague there, Karen Goddard. Good evening, Karen. Lovely to have you joining us here this evening as well. Heather Valentine says hi there. Hi there, Heather. Lovely to have you on YouTube this evening. Crystal Eyes says good evening, Ashley and Richard. Crystal, thank you for joining us on YouTube. I think, is that Stan and Lisa or Stanton Lisa? Good evening, and thank you for joining us too. Okay. The comments will start to automate across your screen now, but I know that Heather joins us from Dundee and Tracy from just around the corner from me. So good evening, Tracy. Lovely to have you. My good friend Julie Caswell there says hello to everyone from Wallington. Wonderful to have you, Julie, joining us. And of course, Wendy Payne, a big part of our congregation in South London at Wimbledon. Michelle Lott says, hello, Ashley and Jackie. You're from Carshalton as well. So also very local to us. It's lovely. And of course, June Malkin. Good evening, June. Really pleased to have you joining us this evening too. As and when I see different comments come in, then I'll try and make that reference to you as well. But you're all very welcome. And as we do move over to YouTube, and I say the experience is ever so slightly different, I would encourage you to continue to share this stream. So the way that YouTube works, the first thing that's really important so you don't miss other shows is that you subscribe. You subscribe to Spiritual Psychics TV, and you should see that big subscribe button as part of the overall channel. By subscribing to that, you can then customize your experience. Barbara says hi from New York. I assume that's New York. It could be it could be anywhere with NY, but good evening to you. So yes, subscribe to Spiritual Psychics TV. You can then customize your settings to either get emails or notifications on your phone to let you know that things are up and running. The other things that you can do is you can follow my page on both Instagram and Facebook. So at Ash Robinson Medium. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Ashley Robinson Spiritualist Medium's the full title. But yeah, if you search for Ash Robinson Medium, you'll be able to find me on Instagram. You'll be able to find me on Facebook. Consider liking my page. Following that, you'll have the different updates that I do from there, as well as on Instagram, where I talk a little bit about some of the things that me and other like-minded people are doing. Also, I mentioned that I am part of Wimbledon Spiritualist Church and a wonderful community we have there. Both Wimbledon and its sister church, Hatbridge, both have Facebook pages. So at Wimbledon Spirits, you can find our page there. Hatbridge also on Facebook. So do check us out. Life After Death events or Life After Death promotions is something I've spoken to many of you about before. But quick recap, it was founded in 1982 by my grandfather, Derek Robinson, and his peers at the time, Gordon Higginson, Jesse Nason, Doris Stokes. And their opportunity was to bring together an organization to share the truths of spiritualism and to share their knowledge of life after death. So Life After Death events very much embedded in that Wimbledon Spiritualist Church, that United Spiritualist Confederation Limited. It's our opportunity there. So a handful of different social media channels for you to consider liking. But the important things are you've joined us this evening, and Rhonda says hi to everybody. Rhonda, lovely to have you here with us. Marcus, a wonderful medium, and someone I'm proud to now call a friend, recently served at Wimbledon Church. So you've subscribed to Spiritual Psychics TV on YouTube, which is lovely. The next thing you can do is you can look for that thumbs up and you can give this feed a like. Hopefully it's not too early to say that you're going to dislike it. You could always change your mind, but give this feed a like. And some of those algorithms in YouTube, that will then start to work out the types of things you like. Obviously engage in the live chat. We'll try and answer all of your comments and questions. And the final thing that I'm going to ask you to do, my friends, is please share this feed. Now, you're looking for the forward arrow on YouTube. If you're on your smartphone, it's somewhere around the right-hand side. If you're on your laptop this evening, Kelly says hi to me and Richard. Kelly McKeaton, lovely to have you joining us. Look for that forward arrow and share this feed. You can share it perhaps on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to share it on Facebook or Twitter, why not considering tagging one of your friends? Why not think, oh, I know someone that would enjoy this show. And by sharing it on Facebook, you can also tag a friend. Let them know that we're live right now. There's going to be an opportunity to ask Ash anything from around 9 o'clock this evening. And of course, my panel member, Jackie Robinson, my mum. So please do consider sharing this feed. Hopefully now you've subscribed to the channel, you've given us the thumbs up and said that you like the feed. And that was the kind of the admin and the other bits and pieces I wanted to tell you about, because all of us that work with Richard and Spiritual Psychics TV do this for the benefit of spiritualism in general. We're all ambassadors in our own way for sharing our knowledge and our truths as they've come to us around the religion and the community I call spiritualism. And although we have lots of different opinions, I think that I'm very proud to sort of stand under that umbrella that is Spiritual Psychics TV, a brand that I think is really starting to stand out as a safe place with respectful people that work with the right discipline, that work within the love and the light, that stand for truth. So you know you're going to come across good people. So Sally says she is watching and says hi. Good evening to you, Sally. So I think that I've done the admin. Hopefully you're now following me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. You've shared this feed with a couple of friends. You can actually share it on WhatsApp as well. So I know that our own congregation at Wimbledon, we call it our Wimbledon Church family. I've shared the link on that earlier on, but of course you can share that on any other WhatsApp groups if you're with like-minded people, spiritual psychic friends. Share them this link. Let them know we're live now. There'll be questions and answers. And this evening, what we're going to talk about is about positivity, about affirmations, and the opportunity to hope that like attracts like. Now, to start that story, I want to talk a little bit about my own spiritual development. And many of you will know that, I'm 38 years old now. I've been brought up in spiritualist family at Wimbledon Hatbridge Spiritualist Church. And for lots of people thinking about spiritual development, evolution, you think, what a great start, what a great foundation to get involved in spiritualism. And if you had like a really sort of simple chart, you could think on the left hand side of that chart is perhaps spiritual knowledge from very very little to a huge amount, and then along the bottom of that you've got a period of time. And you could think that, well, as I've got that chart, the longer I'm alive, the more I'm involved in this, I'll have this sort of curved line that continues to rise on an upwards rising trajectory. And for some people, that might well be the case. But for me and for many others, that line doesn't necessarily mean that you constantly progress at the same time. Now, we've spoke about the life that could be a life of snakes and ladders, where you might have moments of hitting that snake, and perhaps you feel like you've even retreated or taken that backward step. Now, I like to believe with our spiritual development, it's very difficult to forget something that we've learned. Now, I gave a good go at forgetting some of the things I've known by having a major stroke about 11 and 12 years ago. But I like to think that all the important things that I do hold dear to me are still there. Now, for me, with my own spiritual progression, I like it to something else, which is a big part of my life, which is appetites and food. Because, of course, we can't eat all of the time. And if you think about spiritual knowledge, understanding, truths around spiritualism, if you think about that as food, then once you've eaten that food, you need time to digest it. You need time for it to settle. You also then have an opportunity to think, oh, I really enjoyed that. That's something I'm going to go back to. And for me, spiritual knowledge, understanding, that awakening, it's a little bit like that. And throughout the day, you might eat 2 or 3 times, and you might have a good meal. And each time you've had that food, you've whet your appetite, and you've taken that on board. You've started to learn and understand it. Now, for me, spiritual knowledge is exactly the same. You have those first couple of bites, you get really excited, and your spiritual knowledge really starts to advance. And then you kind of get to a bit of a plateau. That becomes your new understanding, and you sort of plateau along. So rather than a sharp upwards rising trajectory line, I think that for me, my spiritual development is more of like lots of little lines that peak and across and peak and across and peak and across and peak and across. And actually, we get comfortable. And once we're comfortable, we can stay quite happily at that plateau. Liking it again to food. Lots of you would know I've struggled in maintaining a healthy weight and shape and size, although round is a shape, so you could say I am in shape. There's actually the opportunity of you can perhaps take on too much too quickly. And actually, from a point of food, that could actually make you sick. It could be overwhelming. And of course, there's only so much new knowledge you can understand at any one time. And certainly, hello there, Myoni and Tina. There's this opportunity to perhaps let it digest. I've taken some of this. There's an awful lot to learn now. Perhaps I'll plateau there, and then I'll go back and I'll revisit it and I'll look at it again. And if you think about any type of formal education or investment, that's exactly what we do. Is we learn a little, we get comfortable with it, we go back, we revisit it, we revise, and that's that sort of upwards rising trajectory. And I think that part of what I'm doing with this show, sharing my knowledge of spiritualism, my knowledge and truths of life after death, there is this opportunity to think about our own sort of graph and how much we take on board, challenging the status quo. And for me, that kind of sets the ground a little bit for today about the way that we live our lives. Now, in previous show, we spoke about reincarnation, we spoke about karma, and we spoke about that life journey where we've kind of got the map, we're equipped with everything we need in order to take on this journey. And sometimes we're going to look for shortcuts, we'll find those ladders, other times we'll hit those snakes. Well, in terms of affirmations, I want to talk about the power of positivity, that power of living in the moment. Now, I'm a great ambassador for believing that you only get to live this life once. And so, of course, live it. Live it every single day, one day at a time. And as part of that, there's this opportunity, I believe, to live your best possible life. Now, in my sort of professional life, in my sort of family life, there is this aspect that you try and bring the full, authentic you. Everything okay, Richard? Okay. We've got some people making Richard laugh, and I'm not a strong multitasker, so I was momentarily taken off track, folks. But no worries, all is well that can be well, and someone's tickled Richard's fancy, which is great. So this opportunity then about affirmations, this opportunity about living your best possible life. In order to do that, I know that I need to bring my full and true, authentic self to home, to work. Tracy says, "Oh gosh, I'm a bit tired to share, but not sure what I would have done." But you disappeared, so I think there must be a side conversation going on some of those bits. And in order for me to bring my full, true, authentic self to home, to work, and to be at my best, I need to think about the way I live my life. And it's very, very easy to kind of get stuck in a rut. Now, I read a quote yesterday on social media that said that, for some people, depression is almost sort of retreating and not really caring about anything or anyone. That isn't the case with all depression. But this was obviously a quote that someone was saying. They're also saying that for them, anxiety was almost about worrying about people and things too much, and actually suffering a little bit with depression and anxiety at the moment. There was this overwhelming self of balancing between that. Now, throughout my life, I've struggled to overcome bouts of sort of low moods and sadness. And at times I get very anxious. And what a crazy 2020 this year has been so far. We're just about missing an alien invasion or a zombie apocalypse to come on to the things that 2020 has for us. But actually, what a great opportunity to awaken, to fully awaken, to get used to our own selves and our sort of comfortable selves. Now, when we talk about affirmations, I just want to sort of plant that seed. I'd be really interested to get some of your experiences of this. So do share them in the sidebar and the live chat. But ultimately, for me, the affirmation is the simple thing of saying something that you want to be, but being very careful about those words. The idea being that with free will, we can be the masters of our own destiny. Now, we did, in part of the reincarnation and karma lessons, explain that some of our destiny may well be written for us. But this idea of living our best life, our best possible version of ourselves. For example, I've mentioned about struggling with my weight. If I spend the whole time in my mind talking about affirmations of saying I will lose weight, I'm always talking about that future state and that future tense. Whereas if my affirmations is I am losing weight, I am fit, I am healthy, those type of affirmations are talking about the now, talking about this opportunity to believe that moment. Now, there is an exact science that I understand this to be. We can't wish ourselves, slim, healthier, richer, better looking, and those type of things. But we can certainly influence how people perceive us and the energy that we put out. And I know that to be true. Certainly in other professional lives, people have spoken about my enthusiasm as being quite contagious. And the idea being that your energy, your aura, and what you are kind of putting out there is going to attract like-minded people, like-minded souls, like-minded energy. And I just wanted to sort of finish with just a little personal experience of that, and then a little bit of a science explanation I will give later. But from a personal point of view, over the years, I've spoken to my mum and dad. As you do, you go to your parents and you tell them about the woes. And I was having a particularly difficult time in my mum did a Friday 9 to 5 job with a particular manager at work. And, I remember saying to my mum and dad, what is it I can do about this? And of course, better to love those people and send them that unconditional love and hope that changes. But in reality, it's very difficult to change someone's behavior. My good friend Ashley Durbin, that's just joined us there from Kentucky. Lovely to have you joining us on YouTube from across the pond this evening. Now, what I remember talking to my mum and dad about this and saying, what is it I can do about it? And, I feel like they're criticizing me all the time. It feels like they're always doing my legs. It just really depressing. And I can't wait to just get out of this job. And I remember my mum and dad saying to me, you need to see yourself in the successful state that you are. And in order to see that, you need to believe it. You need to talk about it. So I feel like I tried everything with this particular manager. So I tried working on the affirmations, and I started saying things like, I am really successful in this role. I absolutely love my job. People around me recognize that and see the hard work and energy I put in. Now, over a couple of weeks, I'd gone from ringing my mum and dad up in sort of floods and tears, talking about this relationship with this manager, to actually the relationship significantly improving. Now, it's very difficult to say that I actually changed and influenced the behavior of the line manager. But what I certainly did do was influence the energy and the interaction of that energy between me and the manager, because I'd probably dug myself into a bit of a trench. And in that trench, I was almost telegraphing the fact that I expect to be criticized. I expect you to undermine me. I expect you to second guess me and micromanage me. Now, all of that was subconsciously. And as I switched the energy and I started talking about that positivity, those affirmations about being recognized, about loving my job, I started to believe that. And because I started to believe that, the energy that I was putting out, and then when my line manager was engaging with me, that energy is what they picked up on. And of course, they then picked up on that fact that I was doing a good job. So it wasn't about changing necessarily their behavior. It was about influencing perhaps their attitude, which affected their behavior. And that started with my own attitude and behavior. Now, for those that are really deep into psychology, there's a cycle you can Google. I think it's Batara's box, and it talks about your attitude affecting your behavior, which affects their attitude, which affects their behavior, and it going round in a bit of a cycle. And as part of this cycle, I believe that affirmations have a firm place there, where our own attitude and beliefs and our behavior can then go on to sort of influence this a little bit further. So as part of that, I feel that I've had some limited success. Now, I spoke about your own battles. It's very difficult as a positive, loving, spiritualist person for me to do that successfully all of the time. But again, it's down to me and it's down to my free will. Tina says wise words. Thank you for that feedback, Tina. What I would like to do now is I'm going to bring in my mother, and I'm going to get my mother to talk a little bit about affirmations and her experience of energy. I've caught her slightly off guard now because I know she was just moving the curtains back at her flat a moment ago. But hopefully, Mum, I can bring you in now. And then Mum's going to tell you a little bit about her experience. And then probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes, what I want to do is introduce a book I've referred to a few times, my good friend Ralph Steadman. I'm going to talk a little bit and I'm going to quote something from his Practical Spiritual Primer. So, Mum, I would like to hand over to you now. And then in about 15, 20 minutes time, I'm going to read a quote which gives a bit of a science versus religion explanation of affirmations, which I really like. And then we're going to open up to your questions, friends. So, Mum, without further ado, please share with us your pearls of wisdom.
I will do. I closed the window because somebody was suddenly talking outside the window, and I thought you'd be able to hear that and wondered what was going on here.
Could have said that was spirit. No, of course.
Yeah, we could have done. Okay, well, I just want to say I'm not just, for those of you who've seen me before, then you know I'm not just Ash's mum. I have been in spiritualism for over 40 years. I am a minister of the Wimbledon Spiritualist Church and the Hackbridge Spiritualist Church, and I have been a circle leader, which is a trainer for people developing their psychic abilities, and I'm a great believer in positive energy. I'm always a person that sees the glass half full rather than empty. But through my life as a light worker, I've tried to remain positive, even in situations that have been quite dire. And working in the light and for the light doesn't always mean that the stuff of the universe isn't going to happen. But it's about the attitude that you have when you get, the snakes along with the ladders in the board of life, as I see it. But if I can say, I've tried to use affirmations and positive thought throughout my life. And even, perhaps going back 30 years, I've believed that actually it's about your attitude and positive energy. It's, we could talk a lot about law of attraction and what you attract if you are thinking in a positive way. And we know that when we send out spiritual healing and energy, it's positive energy. So therefore, positive and negative, are powerful thoughts. So therefore, it's important, even before you say something negative, even having a negative thought gives power to the negativity. By the same token, if you believe in positive energy, then we create positive energy around us, we attract positive energy. There was a famous book that was out in the 70s and then once again out, I think, in the 80s and 90s called The Secret. And that was the idea that anything in the universe could be attracted to you if you were positive enough that you could do this. But of course, you have to have limitations in your aspirations. You can't just say, well, I'm going to be a millionaire. What you have to do is ask your spirit friends, guides, helpers to actually assist you in life by helping in small steps. Now, if it's about sort of changing the work that you do or changing career, then you need steps to be able to be shown the way. But they're not going to do it for you. They're not going to do absolutely everything for you. But you have to have a positive energy to say that there isn't anything I can't do. If I haven't tried it before, then I don't know that I can't do it. So therefore, I can't say, oh, I couldn't do that, because that is giving negativity. And if you believe that you can't do something, then you're putting barriers. So if you believe you're going to fall over if you walk on a certain pathway, then you're allowing negativity to come and you will end up falling over. But if you believe, that you'll knock down the barriers and that you will obtain the things that you want to obtain, then you'll get there. Now, through my working life, I used to use affirmations in my daily work. And I used to actually have to change my password on my computer fairly regularly. And in those days, that they weren't sort of automatically created with a series of all random numbers and letters. And I used to put the affirmations on, I will succeed, I will get promoted, I'm on my way, I'm going upwards. And I used to have in succession each one's. And I would tell people that I would say, I'm going to get myself promoted this year. It's time for me to move on. And then I would do everything I could to get myself promoted. And in that way, I actually, in my career, got promoted 6 times in 12 years. I worked hard with it, but that was my strategy of working hard, knowing that I was actually using the affirmations to know that there was a way forward and that there might be small steps and that you have to look and be guided about what step will take you in what direction. Now, Ashley was also mentioning at one time that he had a manager that he wasn't getting on terribly well with. And I would remember saying to him when he was a young teenager that we can't send negativity out because we know negative energy is as powerful as positive energy. So therefore, if you want to try to remove somebody from your environment that is actually not good for your environment, that is causing you harm or causing you anxiety, then you can ask your angels to have a word with their angels to say that you want to get on more, and can they try to help out, by just having this conversation, in spirit world, in heaven, on the angelic realms, about trying to open up. And if there are problems in that individual's life, to help them and assist. And quite often I would also say, I would love my boss, who I'm not getting on with terribly well, to have some wonderful opportunities and get some good fortune and get some promotion in a lovely area which isn't local to me. Therefore, they will not be in my environment anymore. In that way, I will send in positive energy to the individual, but removing them from my area. Otherwise, I would ask for positive energy to move me from that situation. But as I say, you have to have realistic aspirations in what you're going to achieve. And asking to be a millionaire by next Thursday is not one of them. Asking them to show you a way and be guided, reading a newspaper and something coming out at you that you'll be good at and moving you upwards is. Also understanding about exactly how you have a strategy to get from A to B, and that is where the road that you want to go. So not only would I have the affirmation on my computer to say, I'm going to go forward, I'm going to resolve this, I'm going to win this situation, I would also dress for positivity. So if perhaps I was feeling a little negative, then I would dress in bright colours. I would dress in yellows, in orange for vitality. I would dress in red if I had to have a meeting with someone and I felt I needed protection and felt I needed energy to be able to overcome. So this is all about then using colour energy for positive reasons. I've also very much believed that you ask your angels to intercede and help you. And by using this positive energy, I would say, and 9 out of 10 times I would be right, I said, I need to pick up a person, I've got to drop them at hospital, I need a car space at 10 a.m. Angels, please, can you look out for a car space for me? And I'd say 9 out of 10 times I would suddenly get that car space. And if I believed on that 10th occasion, there wasn't a car space for me, then somebody else's need had actually, gone above mine because that's what needed to happen. So therefore, don't think, oh, well, it can't work. Think it can work, and think also that there is nothing that you cannot do, nothing you cannot try, and go forward in that way. So with attitude, with your aspirations, there are some wonderful cards that are affirmation cards, and they have beautiful poetry on them, and you can use them. If you're given a card reading, pick out an affirmation card for an individual about what it is they need to affirm for their self, whether it's loving their self or attunement or forgiveness. But one simple affirmation card that's one of my favorites is just a short sentence. In fact, it says, one day or day one. And that is an attitude that every morning we wake up, we can say to ourselves, oh, one day I'm going to get myself out of this job I don't like. One day it happened. Or you can say, day one, this is day one in how I change my circumstances. This is day one in my journey of how I have the options and I need the guidance and I need the assistance of my helpers from heaven to assist me in knowing which pathway I should take. They never make the decision for you, but they will lighten up the options for you. So that's very important. So as I say, know that you need to use positive energy in a very responsible way. Know that you should never use negativity towards someone, even if you feel as though they wish you harm. If you believe somebody is around you and they are just giving you negativity, whether it's a work colleague or in some other area of your life, and they're really bringing you down, then what you can do is give yourself a complete armor suit. But this armor is made of mirrors. And if you wear a suit of armor completely of mirrors, then it is reflecting any negativity that comes towards you. And that negativity goes back to the individual that is sending. It's something they create themselves. It's something that is not going through your suit of armor. So therefore, it is a way to protect yourself psychically, physically, and mentally. So understand that you can do this. You create your own protection and reflect. And if there are people that you still consider that are being negative around you, sometimes when we start our spiritual journey, we begin to seek out, with the law of attraction, those individuals that are like-minded, and the individuals that we consider we're no longer on par with will go separate pathways. Some people are supposed to be in our life for a short time, for a day, for a month, for a moment in time, some for a lifetime. So therefore, if you part ways with people that you are no longer feeling you're getting on with, then perhaps that just was supposed to be for just that period of time. So hopefully I've put a few thoughts together with you with this affirmations. But as I say, I've managed to use these positive strategies, as I call it, to make some pretty good achievements. So I look back and know that I've been helped, and know that positive energy, no matter how dark it is, if we can be light workers, then we can light up the pathway for ourselves and for others. So I'm sorry, Stan, if I didn't give you time for a breath. But as I say, have positive expectations, but use that positive energy and those affirmations.
Absolutely, it was lovely, Mum. And it's it's our show. We can talk for as long as the people actually want to pay attention. We
Yeah.
start losing everyone, then obviously we have to come back on. So
Yeah.
there was a quote I wanted to share from Ralph Steadman's book, A Spiritual Primer. I often quote from this, that those that don't know Ralph, I've mentioned before, he was a real friend and mentor to me, and an amazing teacher, and I learned an awful lot from him. But when I spoke to Ralph about affirmations, we had wonderful conversations about this and the sort of power of doing it, and choosing, of course, the right words, the right things to say. Now, June says that she needed this. She's had 2 months of builders and noise and dust. She's just we've made her very grateful for the improvement. So that's lovely, June. And Kim says good evening to us all. Right. So let me read then what I wanted to share, because I remember Ralph having this exact conversation with me, and it's almost verbatim in his book. So I said to Ralph, how do you think they work, and why do they work? And he said that he had asked his inspirers, and what they had said to him reminded him of some of his educational background as a teacher. And there was a particular phrase which I had to Google afterwards, which is nature abhors a vacuum. So that's nature abhors a vacuum. Now, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing abhors right, but it's sort of like it's sort of regardless. It's the idea that nature sort of doesn't like it. Nature abhors a vacuum. And Ralph told me about a science experiment that he had seen on TV, where air was pumped out of a tin can. And when the vacuum was created, the can was suddenly crushed by the force of the atmosphere outside it, overcoming the strength of the metal holding it to shape. Now, Ralph's inspirers had said to him that if you think about that experiment, if you think about that quote, nature abhors a vacuum, what we're sort of saying then as a fact is that when you say something which is not yet currently true or a fact, you will create a spiritual vacuum. By creating that spiritual vacuum, you're creating this vacuum between the physical reality and what it is you're actually saying. The more you say it, the greater the vacuum, and the greater the effect of that vacuum, and greatly, until eventually it will overcome all the physical reality. These changes are the same as what we have said in an affirmation. This is the origin of the phrase mind over matter. Now, that for me is a really nice way of sort of summing it up, of how the science meets religion. We've often spoke about, the human being that represents science and the human being representing religion, starting here, agreeing to disagree, getting to the point that they turn around and they start walking the circumference of the planet until they find themselves halfway around the planet, thinking that religion and science are now further apart than they have ever been before. But I think 2020 represents the time where the human representing science and the human representing religion are coming together, and never have science and religion been so close again. So it's a lovely way of thinking about it. Teresa Thatcher, a lovely medium here, says it's sad as it is sometimes we have to move on from certain people and situations. She's made changes recently, and I think that we have to be the architects of our reality and our destiny. We have to deal with the reality around us. Affirmations can change certainly the energy that we're putting off, and perhaps a little bit about our situation. But I'm really keen, friends, for you to share with us some of your stories. Teresa Thatcher says hi to Wendy. Some of these comments are all automated, so apologies, I haven't had full time to get into them. But really keen to hear about your experiences, and we can use that as another discussion point. But I'm also really keen for you to ask us your questions. Ask us your questions about anything we've just said here, or any other spiritualist subject. You're very welcome to, as I said, ask Ash anything, and Ashley's mum. Ask us anything spiritually, anything around spiritual philosophy. And what we'll do is we'll share with you the truths that we know of life after death, and the truths about spiritualism. I am constantly influenced, and I would describe my spiritual appetite as huge at the moment, as I'm looking to learn more and more and more. I feel that to a certain extent I'm going through a new type of spiritual awakening, where I have this thirst and hunger for information, and I feel like I'm able to get into that. Gary Walker, fantastic rugby guy and man. Thank you for joining us tonight, Gary. Lovely to have you with us. Teresa said she's had to make changes to myself also, and absolutely, we are in charge of that. And even if we've got a principal guide, our Jiminy Cricket, helping us steer from right to wrong, we have to be in charge of our destiny. We have to be in charge of our reality. We have that free will. It is our decisions. Mary says that it must be hard to let trying to keep the training going with the probationary healers. I assume this is more about a conversation you're having with perhaps Leslie about this sort of time we're going on, but linking it back to sort of affirmations and this crazy time that we're in. It's about making the best of that possible situation. It's about working our way to best navigate through this minefield that is COVID-19, our relationships and the partners that we have, our work life, our spiritual life, and feeling as positive about this. Now, as my mum had sort of said, very, very difficult to use an affirmation to prevent something from happening. So, an affirmation on the lines of "I won't get COVID-19" as an example, no guarantee of success in that. But saying every day and believing, "I am healthy, I am fit, I am strong," those types of things, and that type of energy in itself, having the mind, the body, and the soul all kind of intertwined with those affirmations, that's certainly absolutely not going to make you worse, and it just might give you that little edge, that little bit of protection. And if you think about the ancients and how our origins from those ancients, a lovely show in between this on Fridays, we talk about the foundations of that belief, the power of intention. And Leslie Knight, who is our lead spiritual healer, trainer and counselor, thinking about the power of absent healing, complete their healing training, but how they're using affirmations in many ways to send out their unconditional love, that light, tapping into the infinite energy of the universe, of the divine, our friends and our guides, asking them to help heal people. All of that is really important. And this, from my limited knowledge of healing, when you believe in the power of prayer, the power of healing, the way that you receive that absent healing or physical healing can definitely be enhanced. Now, I've spoke about how I believe healing has saved my life several times, and certainly helped me keep playing rugby. But actually being open to this and having that positivity around that, all of that is very, very important. So Hopefully you are now starting to think of some questions or some stories that you want to share, and Richard will be able to put them up on screen for me to talk about. But Mum, while we're waiting for those to come in, you spoke a little bit about work and getting yourself promoted, and I remember that one of the ways you said about doing this, and you can reveal this now you're retired from the civil service, was around the security of your password and how you'd used your password, something you had to type in several times a day to kind of reiterate that affirmation.
Most certainly. And in fact, I remember when I was finally in the final stages of waiting to see if I got promoted, I'd be putting going, and then my last password in a particular job area was gone. I'm going, and that is important to do. But can I also just pick up on, I'll talk about healing and absent healing, because healing, works whether somebody knows about healing, so it isn't faith healing, it is the power used as the healing channel. But with sending out of energy, it works, if you're open-minded, but it works if you're not open-minded. So therefore, healing is powerful, and therefore people that are watching, can do healing. They can send out positive thoughts to individuals that are not well. And I want to just say some of the pioneers that we've known in the spiritualist movement have not necessarily had good health. And there are, at least half a dozen that I can think of that actually their health deteriorated to such a point in their older life that, one particular lady that used to go into trance, and a famous guide come through her, would actually be brought on a stretcher. She would literally be laying on a stretcher, brought up to the platform. And for the moment, she was on the platform and then working as a vessel, she would be able to walk up and down on the rostrum with such energy and vitality. And there was another gentleman, and that's Winifred Moyes of the Greater World, who had the famous guide. And it's absolutely incredible that she overcame that, because she opened herself to spirit in that partnership where they would suddenly be looking after her. And there was a lovely medium, Robert Wood, who in his last few years of working on the platform used to come up literally on crutches. And then when he worked for spirit, fantastic energy. And then the moment he was not working, then, he was back to having to use the crutches. And just a third one, Amy Moy, who was a wonderful medium, knew her in her older years. And, she was a frail elderly lady with bad health. But when she got on the platform, she then was entranced by one of her guides, who was a really huge, burly man, that you could feel the energy of somebody of twice her height and build, and the most incredible energy of being able to give this address. And then literally she would be back off the platform, back in, the real material world, and then she'd be coughing and back to her frail self. So it is incredible how that energy, can be used and utilized with opening up to the power that we can get from the spirit world and our helpers and inspirers. And at this time when so many people are feeling low because they're trapped within their four walls, with COVID, it hits us all for getting, low swings of mood, because it's a feeling of being trapped for many, many people. That open yourself to spirit, open yourself to giving yourself an affirmation of what you want in that day, and for spirit to be close to you. So very much use the words of the Serenity Prayer, and also use the words of Footprints in the Sand. So if somebody hasn't read that poem, then look to that, and look to the Serenity Prayer for giving you the strength to know, with what you can change and what you can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. But as I say, I know throughout my work life, I've always used that positive energy to say, well, what is open to me? What way can I go? And please help me, let me be guided to see the right way out and to do no harm. I believe very much, we know about the global footprint. Well, there is a spiritual footprint on this planet of ours, and it's what spiritual footprint that we can have. And therefore, using positive energy can do so much to put positive light and energy to help heal the world and to help heal all of those that are sick. So sorry for just adding those extra couple of bits.
Yeah, don't say so. I've invited you onto the show to chat rather than just sit there.
Oh yes, but as I say, it's slightly going. Well, it is still an affirmation. It still is how positive energy and about having, and when I say faith, I don't mean it's blind faith, but actually knowing that I am such 150% spiritualist that that we're not in this world alone. We are actually in this world as part of a team, and that team are in the spirit world looking after us, helping us, guide us on our journey, as you did in one of your previous shows, talk about we're all on this pilgrimage, and that we go back to our youth hostel at night and see the map again by our guides from heaven, and then we're out there again climbing the next mountain the following day.
Yeah.
So it all follows through about having that positive energy that what steps that you are working.
Absolutely. Just to bring in a couple of people that have made comments, Teresa Tess was saying that she was recently feeling very alone and very sorry for herself, but she asked for support and guidance. She said that Dell, my granddad, actually sent her some support for a very vivid dream. And I think that power of positive thinking and also working on that energy level and telegraphing our intentions by the power of thought, the power of being, lets our inspirers, our guides and our spirit friends and family know that we're looking for that help. It's almost like you're knocking on Jiminy Cricket's door and saying, I'm ready for some guidance. Give me some guidance. So that was lovely of Tess to share that. Wendy Payne had said she had received absent healing for her family and herself, and it had felt absolutely wonderful. And obviously, clearly another great believer in the power of prayer. Now, Kim Lane said something quite interesting here. She said she had an ex-partner suddenly get in touch, and she was initially thrilled, but within 2 weeks of texting, they were very dismissive and spiteful. But she sent a polite reply, then blocked them, and although felt sad, felt quite empowered. And I think there's something there, isn't it, about taking control of your destiny and the next step, and reacting with that kindness. Kim, must have been tough and challenging, but thank you for sharing that. It's a great example of turning a negative situation around. Leslie gave confirmation when you send absent healing, how important it is to visualize that person being fit and well and healthy. And absolutely, I hope I didn't give that that impression that spiritual healing or absent healing was about faith healing, but having faith in the healing for me was important. It's about making yourself the perfect canvas to receive that healing. Kelly said that she often sets up a healing grid for friends and family all over the globe. And I think it goes to what you were just saying there, Mum, about energy and using that energy. It's something we've done these last couple of shows, is send out that energy, that love and light to people afterwards. Now, Julie Caswell had said that one of their spirit friends and helpers via the spirit board had told them that thoughts are meaty prayers. So be very kind, and it just goes to show you how powerful those thoughts can be. Because I've often said that I believe heaven is a place of pure thought. It is a place of pure energy. The difference between the human being and a corpse is the personality, which exists in pure thought, in pure energy. So actually, all of our thoughts are kind of very close to that spirit world and realm. Mum, anything you would like to say about that?
Other than it is really important to know that every thought that you send is almost an action. So be guarded in the thoughts that you send. So being kind in the thoughts that you send. If say somebody's not being kind to you, then ask, for, your angels and their angels to get together, have a meeting, so that you're actually not the ones, speaking to the individual you're not getting on with, but, to try and see if there's some groundwork. Because otherwise, if you're giving out negativity, then that negativity will come back to you. And we have enough negative thoughts, without actually, sending somebody for them to come back again. So it is incredibly important, to send positive energy. But we hear time and time again from our guides and helpers from the spirit world that we need the positive energy around the world, that the earth needs the positive energy and love. So say be very careful and know just how powerful your thoughts are. So therefore, sending out healing. If you've got little children, putting your hand over their knee when they've had a scrape, that energy and love. We know, how much, children just are aware of how much they feel better, and they don't have an understanding of, calling it by a healing name. It's just that love that's being given to them. So
Absolutely.
very important, and very important because it's far too easy for some of us to be sort of armchair politicians with what is around us at this moment. We need to rise above that, rise above the politics of the day, and say we're going to get through this together, and inspiring ourselves and having affirmations that we all need, to feel that we are together as a team, and that we will support all of our friends and family, and that we should do, is go through our address book and look at the people we know are alone and give them that love and give them that friendship and kinship, to try to do whatever good that we can. Because there's another lovely poem, and I know somebody will probably come and say the name of it, but we only go through this life once, so therefore any good that I can do while I pass this way, then let me do it. So that's the important thing, that message of keeping it positive. But
That's
it'd be
lovely.
nice to see what people say, and come back. And if, I'm sure there's people out there that have had occasions when they can actually see that having that positive energy attitude has got them through. And I know that when I've had several different major surgeries through my life, that I've had positive affirmations to get me through it. And in fact, on one of my major surgeries, I was told, the doctors used the word, I don't know where she gets her spirit from. It's, because I was determined, and that determination was my affirmation, that I would get up and I would make it, and that I would have nothing wrong with me. And one other thing I just mentioned, when I passed my test for driving, I didn't pass my test until I was, about 30, but I actually knew that I needed to pass, so I'd even booked a holiday for like the following week after the test, which I could only go to if I drove. So to me, it was like having a test, that positive affirmation that I would be passing my test, on the Monday, and then driving to a holiday, on the Friday. So,
I remember the holiday.
Yes.
Packing up the car. We wouldn't get there today, would we? I don't think the Welsh are particularly happy to receive people from the rest of the country at the moment. Keep our infection rates to ourselves. But yes, no, really positive there, Mum. And Leslie was agreeing with you. She was saying it's amazing how many mediums and healers who have the aches and pains that disappear when they're working, which is true. We had Christine Woodham join us from Spain. Christine Woodham was another one of my circle leaders. Great to have you tuning in from Spain today. Warm welcome to you, Christine. Leslie was saying you had wise words, Mum, and Christine was sending her love to everybody. Barbara was saying, yes, absolutely. Use a positive word you can type in each day. And I think that's a great thing with the password, isn't it? Or seeing something. And certainly when my eating was a bit out of control and I was overeating quite regularly, a good friend of mine, Paul, had said, come on, Ash, you've got this. You're one of the most positive people I need. And it was just as simple as me putting a message perhaps on the fridge that said, you're not hungry. And then remembering that and seeing that is quite important. June Malcolm was talking about healing. We know June's a lovely healer. She said she's done lots of distant healing over lockdown using intentions and prayers and crystals, pendulums and body charts. It's all energy and it all definitely works. That's lovely, June. Thank you for sharing that. Leslie's saying that you are a wonderful crystal healer. Indeed, you are. Karen Goddard, a lovely lady healer and spiritualist person as well. She said it certainly does, and her dad is a testament to it. And Karen definitely has one of the most positive thinking, strong-minded people I know, that I'm pleased to say, and hope it's okay, Karen, that he has looked at COVID-19 square in the eyes and said, "Not today, my friend," and continued to fight. He's got some incredible physical and mental strength, and those affirmations, I'm sure, Karen, come from you being around him, you and the family, sending him that love and light too. Tina just giving some feedback there, Rich, and to others, saying that she loves SPTV and the church. That's wonderful, Tina. Thank you. She's talking about Ben's church, which I think is probably the Nothing Fancy group. Yes, indeed, lovely people there. And Tina says, because of all the beautiful spirits that communicate through this, and it all gives you so much positive energy. Tina, that's lovely to hear, and I'm really pleased to do that. That's kind of what unifies us all and brings us together. And, you know, people like Richard and Ben are giving these platforms, and what Richard's doing for all these like-minded people to work with you, it relies on you, your love and your energy, your commitment too. So thank you so much, Tina. That's lovely. Now, Kelly had said that she always gets feedback from friends and family that distant healing definitely works. And I think that feedback is also really important, Kelly. So thank you for sharing that. Not only is it great confirmation, of course, that it does work, but I think there is something there around feedback, isn't it? Because we're still human beings. We're still growing and evolving ourselves, Mum. So it's lovely, isn't it, to have feedback, to know that you've done something and that's come back. For me, it's about building trust. I've often used that word with trust as a medium. I need to continue to develop my relationship with spirit and that trust. And, you know, one of the quickest ways you can build trust with someone is promising to do something, do it, telling them you've done it and asking them how they get on. And I think that actually simple feedback on, you've heard that someone's not well, you've asked for their consent to send them some spiritual healing, you've asked for that to be done, it's been done, and then finding out if it's worked and getting that confirmation. It's all part of that infinite cycle of feedback, and it can be enormously powerful. Again, that relationship of trust with this world and the spirit world. Mum, any comments you'd like to make on that point?
With the healing, with the trusting in your healing.
Yeah.
Because I know some people might think, well, actually, you know, I don't have any ability, but we're all of that same energy. We're all spirit in physical bodies, and we can all tap in. You know, that energy is out there. You know, it's a manifestation, and you can channel that energy. You know, you can learn to become a healing with training, with development through one of Leslie's classes at the church or other churches. And a lot of that is about the protocol and the rules and the regulations and the bedside manner, really, of talking with the individual. But the actual power of healing is there, and it's the love. And if you can send out that unconditional love to an individual, you know, often find that in the media, when you've got someone that you hear is unwell, and then you get this outpouring of love to them, and then find that that individual has become well really quickly and has recovered from something they weren't expected to recover from, because that energy has actually become very powerful with all the individuals that are sending that small amount of energy, that flicker. If you think, if we're all just one small flame on our finger and it's all connected, then that powerful energy can be the greatest thing in this world. Yeah. So it's important. So don't let your, you know, doubt stop you from attempting to make somebody feel better. If you've got, you know, a family member that's got a pain in their back, then put your hand, you know, over their back, close your eyes, and then just ask Spirit to help you with that individual, to give them that love and energy, and then just see how powerful that energy will be.
Absolutely. That's lovely, Mum. Thank you. Heather Valentine was saying that she's read a book. I think it was I Am Good Enough. And she was saying that within that, there were suggestions there. You change your passwords and you leave positive notes around the home to reinforce positivity. So, yeah, great confirmation. Thank you for sharing that, Heather. Great confirmation. And our friend and medium, Marcus, was talking about healing and rugby, two things I'm both passionate about. And he was given an example of a triple break of the ankle he had with a dislocation 2 weeks before the end of season, and the doctor had said he was never going to play again. But with the right healer, the skill of the surgeon, and a positive attitude, he was playing on the first game of the next season. Spiritual healing works big time. Marcus, it's a lovely story to share, and no doubt because of your positivity and your energy to say, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there at the start of that season. And you know, as a fellow rugby man that has put his body through all sorts of turmoil, you're never really back to 100%, but I'm really pleased that I'm still able to play at my age and shape and size. And I love the fact that I'm coaching my son's team at the moment. It's positivity, so I'm absolutely going to be there, and I'm going to do that. Mary Dixie Mum was saying she remembered when you told her what to do about a problem she had with a manager in the 90s. And she said you told her to visualize a drawing of them, rub them out and draw them as you would like it to be. And it worked. I don't know if you remember that example, Mum, there that Mary was giving. But yeah, what a great way. You're someone that's quite creative. I've seen you do all sorts of things with your creativity, from colouring auras and doing other bits and pieces about the person we want to be. Anything else you would like to add on that?
No, I mean, it's nice to get feedback from 30 years ago. It was a good job. It was something that was positive. But that is the important thing, is knowing that you're never alone, that, you know, you can visualize. And as you know, I'm a person that believes in visualization, and some of the visualization meditations that I've done, you know, on YouTube and you know, throughout the years, actually, with the healing visualizations, that visualize the situation as you would like it to be. Visualize yourself. And if you remember, going back now, I think it's about 4 years ago when I had my last major surgery and I had my bowel removed. And I can remember, you know, they brought the surgery forward because they said I was too ill to carry on. And I said, but I've got a trip to America booked, you know, in a couple of months. And in fact, the surgery was put back a couple of weeks. So in the end, I had the surgery, and literally 4.5 weeks later, I went to America on a long haul flight, but you were with me and assisted me because stitches didn't quite heal up as much as I wanted them to. But I visualized myself that I was going to go, but there was not going to be any stopping me. So, you know, putting my affirmation and putting my determination together, that very much I've always tried that nothing is going to stop me. If I can physically manage to achieve something and visualize myself doing that, then that is power itself. And in fact, there are some religions in the world that go just literally with the mind over matter. And I don't believe in, you know, medical intervention or anything. I mean, I do believe in medical intervention and believe that you know, doctors and nurses and carers are all there using spiritual gifts and are inspired by doctors in the spirit world. So therefore, you know, not to reject, you know, medical assistance, and sometimes we need surgery, but that if you have that positive attitude, your healing time is greatly reduced, and you know, you can do it by pure power of thought.
That's good. Thank you. Tess was saying that she agrees with you, Mum. Very true. And she has blocked the negativity and now projecting positivity. Yeah, lovely way to put it. She says, thank you to all the Robinson family here and in the spirit world for keeping us together. I salute you. Well, thank you, Tess. As I said, thank you to all of you for your love and energy. Now, Stacey Bishop says that sending positive energy is so important, but of course it gets very difficult over these tough times. She finds that remembering her blessings allows her to be more positive. Stacey, thank you for sharing that, and what an incredible thing. I remember at the start of lockdown being at home with my boys, despite the anxiety of what was happening around the world. What a great opportunity it was to actually sit down as a family and have dinner together. And with two little boys and the hustle and bustle of full-time work, it was quite difficult to do that pre-lockdown. You know, it was about getting the kids fed and watered and then to bed and eating quite later. And one of the things someone had suggested to me was around getting every person at the dinner table to say something that they were grateful for that day. Now, one of my sons is 2, the other one is 5, so they don't really understand what grateful necessarily means. But what I say to them is what was good about today, or what was fun. And of course, what they're showing is they are showing gratitude for the fun and they've had. And it's contagious in that sense of knowing that they've had fun and they've enjoyed something, counting their blessings. So really powerful, Stacey. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Kim Lane says that a very close friend of hers says that all interactions between us are like a tennis match. Whatever ball we send over the net, kindness or spite, is the ball that is sent back to us. And I absolutely agree, Kim. You know, like attracts like. And how powerful it is to be able to forgive people for the wrongdoings they've done is also part of that recovery for you, being able to forgive someone for any hurt or harm they've caused you, and actually getting to the point that you're even perhaps able to thank them for the experience and you getting over that. Also incredibly powerful. But yeah, I love that analogy. Whatever ball we send over the nets, kindness or spite, that's the ball that's sent back to us. And it's almost an element of karma there. We spoke about karma in a previous show and how you might spend, you know, several lives, if not hundreds of lives, working off a karmatic debt. But of course, there's also something about the here and the now. Mum, anything you would like to say about that point?
I definitely agree, you know, with life being a tennis match. And I'd have to say that's why all the drivers out there, you should always try and let drivers out from side roads and any chance you can, because then
true.
you know that when you need it, you know, you're going to get that back. We don't send it. It's like giving a gift. You don't give a gift because you want it returned. But if you have it as your philosophy that all the time you're giving a gift. So I tend to give way to traffic with the idea, you know, that I am starting my day by helping other people. And that's quite something that's easy to do, because you just have to remember to leave a space, you know, if you can see a side turning when you're in traffic, so that people have to come out of that side road. And if you can believe, you know, and understand that and the power behind that. And a friend of mine in America, Alice, she sent me this wonderful wise word once that said about when people sort of cut you up, then it's a bit like they're the garbage truck, and what they're trying to do is unload all their garbage to you. And if you let them do it, then you end up with all their garbage. So so it's really important to live in a way where you don't, you know, give out and receive all the garbage back. So, you know, so keeping it in a positive way and always sending that good ball over the fence, you know, then that is an important way of learning, and that assists people, because we're creating love which is going all around the world then and coming back to us, you know, and I believe all the love that's sent out is coming back threefold. So it's well worth trying it as a return.
Yeah,
let's be some tennis champions.
Yeah, absolutely. Do keep your questions coming, folks. We've got about another 10 minutes to answer them. It's lovely to see your feedback in the chat room. Leslie is saying that her friend had visualized herself driving the car that she wanted every day. 2 weeks later, she got the exact car she wanted, a bit like your story there, Mum, of passing your test. Christine Woodham, our good friend, Reverend Christine Woodham over in Spain, says she feels there's many words of wisdom there from us both, which is lovely feedback. Thank you, Christine, and thank you for helping set the foundations up for me, both you and Mary, still here to continue to guide and steer me. My other circle leader, Jill Hay, continues to guide me from the spirit world in the same way that our friend Ralph Steadman does. Now, June was saying thank you to Leslie, who I said is our principal trainer and ambassador for spiritual healing and counselling at the church. And June says something quite lovely here, that although she was taught the power of intention and how to channel it, the tools are just extras, but the healing comes from the heart. And she had a great teacher. And I love that phrase there, June. Thank you for sharing that. Healing comes from the heart, our intentions, working in the love and the light. Really quite powerful. Now, Christine shares a story of us, and she said that she prayed for the flat that she is currently in. She got everything she asked for and more. The key to my door had 444 on it. I'm not sure what the reference is to the 444, Christine, but a lovely story there of you getting those things you've done. So it's all about subtly interfering and intertwining with the universe and the reality of our situation, putting out the right energy and becoming the architect to design that next chapter. So thank you for sharing that, Christine. June says she's so glad that Dad has picked up with Karen, which is really good. Tess loved the example from Mary. Gary said he had some healing for he needs some healing for a new hernia, and Leslie says she's going to send him. So Gary and I used to play rugby together. He's a great man. Gary, I hope it's okay that we can see that on the live chat. I'll ask all of our spiritual friends and healing to send you some love and some light to get over any of that discomfort that you're going through at the moment, and I wish you a full and speedy recovery. I love that Leslie said she's already added you to our church healing list, so we'll continue to do that, mate, and I'll send you some love and light as well. Tess says that some people have bored with pictures of the things they want or need. Would this work as well as using visualization? Well, Tess, I certainly believe it wouldn't hurt. And again, it's almost those affirmations. One of the ways that I saw this embedded, I was on a training course which was all around critical incident management and leadership in that situation. And the instructor actually started off with showing pictures of houses and money and holidays. And he started off by saying, if you value these things, if money is a driver and you like living in a house with your family and enjoy going on holidays, don't make bad decisions. And if you're going to make decisions, make sure you justify them. Now, although that didn't start off at a positive, what we're thinking about the end is every decision I'm making, I'm now thinking about the people. I'm thinking about the impact on people. And I'm kind of using affirmations around what was a fear, turning that into a positive. And I want people to be healthy and happy and to be well. So that's a nice question there, Tess, about the board with the pictures. Mum, any thoughts about that alongside using visualization affirmations, pictures on a board?
Definitely, because it's almost a strategy board. It's saying, well, this is what we want. So therefore, you actually say it's about what you need as well. If something you want isn't, you attempt it and you attempt it and you attempt it, then what you want isn't necessarily what you actually need. And it goes down then to actually your purpose of your life purpose for this incarnation. So I always say it's a bit like trying to get the waves of the sea to stop and go in a different direction. You have to go with the waves. And if you're working against them, then it is showing you that actually the road that you're trying to go down isn't the right one for you, that you need to rejig the board and need to see actually, what you're actually putting on that board is not correct for you. So have a look, rejig it and see. And visualize yourself. And if you can't visualize yourself, then perhaps it's because it's not supposed to be that in that way, and that there will be other branches suddenly making themselves aware, another fork in the road. So have a look to it, but certainly as a strategy board, because if you know that you want to get from A to B, then you have to see if there's one journey, or if what happens if that journey doesn't work well, then I might need to plot another way. Perhaps it's that the road I was going to use, there's been an accident, can't go down that one. Let's find another road. It might have a low bridge, can't go down that one. Because there are obstacles. If there are obstacles, we have to find ways of breaking down the obstacles and going around the wall rather than bashing your head through the wall, because that is the way, to go. But a strategy board for what you want, but that want and what you need are two different things when we ask Spirit for help, and it's understanding the difference between the two.
Yeah, too true. I couldn't help but, 15 years ago when Claire was planning our wedding, how she used visual boards with pictures of the things and the way that she did her wedding to be. And of course, my own sister and my sister-in-law, when they plan their weddings, I think visual things are very powerful. And actually the intention behind even getting those pictures, selecting those pictures, you're kind of telegraphing the things that want to happen. So, really powerful thing. And pictures and headlines are definitely my sort of reading and understanding. Now, our friend Marcus asks for some spiritual healing for a friend of theirs. I think I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Suzanne Fami, who is a volunteer in an Iraqi refugee camp, and she's just come down with COVID. So, of course, Marcus, we'll send some love and light to them. And what we'll probably do at the very end, Mum, I'll ask you just to have a couple of healing moments like we did once before, and we'll just collect all the energy that we've hopefully built up throughout the show. We'll send that out to everyone that's in need. We've had a couple of people come a little bit late to the show, but always welcome. Mr. Ian Mason, a lovely medium and friend of ours. Ian, good evening, sir. Lovely to have you with us. He said that it was a great message, Jackie. He was pleased to come in at that time. Lots of people sending love and light throughout the chat there, including Wendy Payne and Karen Goddard, which again is incredible. What a great opportunity to use the live chat as an absent healing book. Again, that power of intention as affirmations, visualizing those people fit and healthy. Now, we have a nice question here, Mum, from Kim Lane. And she says, any advice on how to forgive those who hurt us so that we can heal ourselves? And I think that in part, Kim, you've already said that it's part of that healing process. And Ralph Steadman used to say to me how important it was as part of bereavement counseling or getting over, major events in your life, that being able to forgive the person that's done those things. Now, I just want to share something with people. I was part of a fraternity when I was at the worst of my overeating. And as part of doing that, I was working through a number of steps which people may be familiar with for anyone that's been fighting or battling any type of addiction. And one of the really powerful things I did during this time was to create a list of the people who I felt had done me harm. My list of people that had, gone out of the way to do my legs, to not make life as pleasant as it could have been. And a part of making that list was quite empowering. But of course, it stirs up all the reasons why either those people or those places or infrastructure, all the things that wound me up and sort of made me miserable. But the next phase of that was kind of getting into understanding why and what was the impact and how it affected me. But the most powerful bit of that was actually this wonderful prayer that I used to then say daily. And it was a prayer for those people that had done me harm. And it worked along the assumption that perhaps these people are spiritually sick, not well at all. And actually, by sending them a prayer and praying for them to get over that spiritual sickness, as opposed to thinking about the hurt or the harm that it caused, it was a really empowering way of getting over it. And I think that's the first step for me. It was getting over the hurt or the impact that these people had had on me. And then by starting to think about them as potentially ill or sick, and certainly some of them definitely were, there was the opportunity to actually want them to be well, to be healthy, to get over that sickness, and to pray that they have the strength and courage to be a better person. And as part of doing that, it became much easier to forgive those people and not bear a grudge. And it was like a huge weight coming off my shoulders. So I think my advice on learning how to forgive people is learning about why you need to forgive them, what it is that you believe they've done to them. If you can, getting to the point that you're sending them some love, some light, some energy, learning to forgive them for what they've done. I think the other really important part of that, which is what Ralph had once shared with me, is that once we've accepted it, we've got over it, we've been able to forgive, thanking the person for that experience, I really challenged Ralph. And I said, why on earth would I thank someone that's caused me all this hurt and harm? And he said, well, how do you know that you didn't ask them to do it? How do you know it wasn't in a soul contract that if you were the architect of the destiny for your next incarnation, how do you know you didn't say, look, when I'm back down on earth and I'm on that training planet and I want to have these experiences, the one person that's going to come and hurt me in this situation, I want it to be you, because I can trust you to do that. And actually learning to forgive them, accept it, and get over it was an incredibly powerful experience. Even Ralph telling me that story made it quite powerful. But Mum, anything you would like to say about that?
No, it really takes me back to the poem that my friend had sent me about the garbage truck. I just wish I could put my hands to it, because that's sort of saying that, you know, if you take all those hurts and you keep them all inside you, then you're carrying other people's garbage, other people's rubbish, and that hurt, and it builds up and builds up. So therefore, you actually end up hurting yourself, and it manifests itself by having physical disharmony and illness and mental disruption, because we're not supposed to keep that hurt within us. But forgiving someone is not the easiest thing to do. If it was, we would have learnt our lessons years ago and all have shorter lifespans on earth, because that is one of the most difficult ones to achieve, and it's not always possible in a short amount of time. But just to know that any hurt you keep within you is harmful to you. It's a bit like it starts the beginning of a cancer. So therefore, you know, it needs to be purified and taken out, because often cancers start when we've had hurt. Sometimes it's, you know, they can trace back somebody's cancer as a bereavement and a loss or something that dramatic that's happened in their life. So it does become harmful. It does become toxic. So very much we have to realise, but it's often our higher self. And sometimes we're not always as much of our higher self as we should be. So it's a lesson for us all, and a lesson that most of us are learning at this point, you know, until we end our days here on earth.
Oh, lovely. Nice, nice positive thing to think about there, and the opportunity to continue to be the architect of the next chapter of our lives, living our best possible version of ourselves, bringing our full, true, and authentic self, all of ourself, to our lives, to live that best possible life. Mum, what I would like you to do is we've now come to the end of the show. I would just think there's been some really quite fantastic energy generated this evening. We've got a lot of people asking for some healing to their friends. So could you just take us through a few moments where we sort of close this evening and we're able to send out some spiritual healing to all those people in need of it. We had some feedback there from Kim. She said this is an amazing answer. Thank you so much. And Nature Lover joined us a little bit late, but is going to watch it on replay. So we'll do the healing moments now, Mum. And then what I'll do is I'll do a couple of adverts for Spiritual Psychic TV. And then we will finish just with a couple of admin and requests to share and to like and subscribe. So, Mum, over to you for those final words. And then,
Wonderful.
Richard, I'll do some adverts.
If we can imagine, let's stretch our arms out. Hopefully you've got big enough room, if you're not living in a cupboard, to literally put your arms out.
And lock everything down.
And imagine that everyone that's on air with us tonight is linking hands, linking arms. Now imagine that the tips of your fingers are producing electricity, bolts of lightning. Imagine bringing this up and it becoming a dome. So close our eyes and ask our Father, Mother, God, and healing angels to take our healing to those that are in need. And just imagine now that this dome, like St. Paul's dome, absolutely enormous, this golden ray of electricity, of healing energy that is going up as a cloud, a huge cloud, and is evaporating into the atmosphere. Imagine the whole earth engulfed in this electricity, and now going down to all of those individuals that are in need of healing, but also ourselves for self-healing, for mental healing, for positive healing, that we may have a good, positive, healthy week where we send out love to individuals that we get on with and those that we don't, that we struggle with. Show us the way, keep our path a light, keep us working as light workers. Amen.
Amen. Very powerful. Thank you very much, Mum. That was lovely. Liz, we note your healing request for your second daughter, Amber. She had a tumour in her head and epileptic. Sending her, Liz, lots of love and light, and all those people that have asked for it this evening. Do be safe, friends. Really powerful moment there. I'm just going to go through and do a couple of adverts. One that you'll see on your screens now is to take a look at the Twitter page for Spiritual Psychic TV. And if you are able to help keep Spiritual Psychic TV free, please consider donating to the paypal.me SPTV live. You can donate from as little as sort of £1 a month that goes towards the investment into the studio and the other bits and pieces that are going on. There is a wonderful amount of content available throughout the week, 7 days a week. You've got opportunities to see all sorts of different demonstrations and lectures and sort of chat shows. There's a handful of things coming over the next couple of days that I would just like to bring your attention to. So first thing is that we have a regular demonstration of mediumship on Spiritual Psychic TV, clairvoyance and mediumship, with lots of wonderful visiting mediums on that show. And that is every Saturday night at 8 o'clock, I believe, Richard. And Marcus is going to be our medium. So Marcus was in the live chat this evening. Wonderful medium, and you can tune in and see him tomorrow night from 8 p.m. So Sunday morning, I invite you to join us at our divine service with Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. Reverend Ray and Jackie Robinson will be streaming live from South London at Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. Our psychic clairvoyant spiritual service will include a reading, some meditation moments around sending, absent, healing. We've got a wonderful double act of mediumship clairvoyance from two visiting mediums that are coming down to South London to socially distance and give you their demonstration of mediumship, which will be live on YouTube. That's Sunday morning, 11 a.m. on Spiritual Psychic TV, a divine service with Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. And then if you've got some capacity, Sunday afternoon, chill out on your sofa and watch the ladies on the Sunday sofa from 2:30 p.m. That includes some free psychic mediums, and that'll be live from the studio in Portsmouth down in the South Coast. So Sunday afternoon, the Sunday sofa. In Search of the Paranormal with the Southern Ghost Society. Paranormal investigations, unsolved mysteries, your questions answered, and so much more. Do check out Spiritual Psychic TV for more. My reserve background filled as a voiceover. I'm still working on that. We'll try and get it absolutely right. Folks, a couple of admin requests, if you like. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hopefully you have done that and you have subscribed today. Click on the little bell, customize your notifications to find out what's going on. Please find me on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook at Ash Robinson Medium. So go off and find my Facebook page. I will be sharing all of the times I'll be working on here as well. Find me on Insta and find Spiritual Psychics TV across all of those social channels. Get to your socials, find them. And this feed in particular, please do give it a thumbs up. Let us know that you've liked the content and share it. even though we've now finished, share it with your friends. If you've had an interesting experience this evening, share it on your wall, share it on your WhatsApp groups, share it to people and tag them and say, you might just find this interesting. Watch it on replay. Folks, it's been absolutely fantastic to be with you this evening. Thank you to Richard James in the studio for all your hard work. And thank you to my mum, my special guest this evening, Jackie Robinson. It's been lovely to have you on here. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and God bless. Stay safe. I've been Ashley Robinson, and this has been Being Spiritual. Thank you.